YouTube family? It's your girl Angela, and I'm back. And it is the second week of our newly transitioned channel, and I am very excited about tonight. It is the first hashtag Team Jackson Tuesday, and I am proud to introduce none other than my husband, Kelly Jackson. Say hi to my YouTube family.
Hi, YouTube family. I'm the one that does all the work.
Yes, he does, and I am thankful for it because all this editing and all the music and all of the graphics that you all see on the channel week to week, that is not me. All I do is talk in front of the camera, and then my husband here puts all the magic behind it, and it turns into what you see on Always Naturally Me. So, introducing you to this segment, hashtag Team Jackson Tuesdays is going to be basically all about, you know, the life of the Jacksons, us as a couple, as husband and wife. And so month to month, on each Team Jackson Tuesday segment, we are just going to discuss topics as it relates to couples, being married, going through the dating stages, because we did that first. So tonight is just going to be an introduction to us, who we are, how we met, kind of how we got to where we are now, just some of the transition periods, just an all-out introduction to who we are. And so, babe, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself just a little bit before we get into the three questions that
I
we're
guess
going to
I'll
answer?
talk about Prince next time.
This is not
You
about
notice
Prince
my
tonight.
shirt here.
Not about Prince tonight.
I'm her husband. That's
Mm-hmm.
my introduction. No, don't do that. Don't give me that look.
This is what I do.
You've
Good
already
job.
introduced me. I'm Angela's husband. I'm a preacher. I'm an author. That's right, the preacher's wearing the Prince shirt. And I think I'm just an all-around great guy. I mean, y'all hear a lot about Angela and her hair and her hair and her hair.
That's where this
And-
channel started. That's why.
That's where all the work for me started.
Okay.
But that's me in a nutshell. I'm a preacher.
Well, you're
I'm an
gonna learn.
author.
You're gonna learn a lot more about him as we continue with hashtag Team Jackson.
Yeah, because
so,
you can't just tell it all. Like,
right,
you
we gotta
to-
have content.
You have to experience me. So you can't just tell it all.
He is an experience.
You know, well,
I'm just playing.
Anyway.
Okay, so let's dive right into.
Let's dive in.
let's dive
in.
into. We're gonna answer 3 questions for you all tonight. The second question has a part A and B, so it's kind of like 3.5 questions.
See, I didn't know that. I don't know anything about part A and B. I'm excited.
So the first question, we are going to tell you all how we met, how we came to be. We tell the story a little differently, but we all end up in the same.
What?
We all end up in the same
Man.
location. So,
yeah, we tell it differently.
Kelly, you wanna?
No, you tell your
No, you
version. My version is way more entertaining and accurate.
No, he leaves out a very vital piece every time he tells this story. So I'm gonna tell it
I'm
first.
not gonna tell out the vital piece. That ain't for YouTube. You're not gonna tell that.
So anyway, I moved to Michigan in, what was it, September
2008.
September of 2008, right?
I don't know. I met you in October.
Of
So
2008.
I don't know when you
Okay,
met.
so because it wasn't too long after I moved here. So it was either late August or early September of 2008 that I moved to Detroit, Michigan. I'm originally from California. And I started working for Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Oh, should we talk about
You can talk
Oh,
about
okay. I didn't know if I should name companies on YouTube. But we started
Name it.
I started working for Enterprise Rent-A-Car as a manager in training, and my husband was already working there as a manager. And
So y'all see what's going
see
on,
where
right?
see where we're going with this. Anyway, so he was a manager there, and I started working at a different office. But long story short, that office was closing just due to some consolidation, and I was moved to the office where my husband was the manager. But before I moved to that location, we had to close down, the office where I originally started. So the other employees were already dispersed to where they were going, and so it was just me there. And Kelly came over to help me kind of close down the office, like return all the cars, get them transported to different lots and things like that. And so anyway, to make a long story short even more, we spent a lot of time in this office, just us two, for like a week because there was no customers, so there was no need for other employees. So it was just a lot of finalizing paperwork and things like that. Well, there was a lot of quiet time during these days. And so I would try to, spark conversation with him, ask different questions here and there, ask different questions here and there, and just try to spark a conversation because, I'm not going to say that it was like love at first sight, but there was attraction at first sight. So I was trying to get to know him, but he just kind of was dead-ending me all the way through, like one-word answers, kind of changes.
Oh, the Lord is not pleased. The Lord is not pleased.
One-word answers and things like that. And so I'm just like, okay, well, it is what it is. So we move over to our other office, and I got there before he did, and because he had some other errands he had to run for the company before he came to the office. So, I'm meeting everybody and just introducing myself. And so here he comes through the office door, and everybody's face like lights up, like KJ in the building. Oh, this, that, the third.
People light up when they see you?
But that wasn't the surprise. The surprise was his response to everybody's light up. He turned into this social butterfly, like, hey, what up, this, that, and the other. And I'm like,
what up?
Whatever he said, he was all interacting and all like smiling and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, oh, so it was me. Like, it was me personally.
Okay, listen.
And okay, sorry, it's going to get long.
This video is not 25 minutes long. Let me help you all understand something. She interrupted the story to tell you how she broke a nail. So let me make while she claims she's making a long story short, let me just shorten it up. She was at the office. My responsibility was to go to shut down the office. When I'm at work, I'm at work. Mm-hmm. Now, Angela knows this, so
I do.
It ain't a whole bunch of back and forth laughing and talking. When I'm at work, I'm at work. I'm about my business. I believe in being professional. I believe in taking care of business. So it wasn't nothing personal against her. I was just at work. So we didn't have a lot to talk about. Now, again, see, the Lord ain't pleased. I told y'all the Lord ain't pleased. Now, Angela ain't telling y'all that when she moved in, she had a boyfriend. So all of this talking and carrying on, what we gonna be doing anyway? But let me tell y'all, see, Angela always tell that side of the story. I always tell the inspirational side of the story. The moment that I met Angela, and I tell her this, I tell everybody this, the moment that I met her, when I was introduced to her, by our area manager, when they left the office, I watched her out the window and I watched her walk to the car.
He was watching me walk away.
And the Lord spoke to me, and I'm not being funny or anything. The Lord spoke to me and said, "That's your wife." And I had just met her, and the Lord said, "That's your wife." And that, so,
I love that part
so
of the story, yeah.
For me, in my mind, in my spiritual mind, there was no point in me pursuing her because I had already been promised her. Now, when I'm at work, and then I could pursue Angela some other time when she worked out all the other things that she had going on.
I did have a situation,
in her life.
y'all.
She
I'm
had
not
some
going to
stuff
even lie.
going on in her life.
I had a situation.
And she had not heard the voice of God like I had heard it.
I had
heard
a
him loud
situation
and
that
clear.
had to be cleared up before we could, I could act on any attraction that I had
So
to him.
anyway, long story short, since she brought me on the channel, I'm invading the channel.
Clearly.
Okay, because I have my own channel. I'm hoping my wife will talk about my channel later. Anyway, so long story short, long story short, okay, I had asked God for a wife, and he brought my wife all the way from California. And so when the Lord spoke to me about it, I just knew it was just a matter of time. And eventually when we came together, I told her then that I already knew that she was my wife. She just needed to come around to the fact that she was somebody's wife. And so that is the end of the story, and that's how we wound up together, and we still together. You probably don't even remember that from In Living Color. And we still together.
I couldn't watch In Living Color.
I'm a few years older than that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Well, she couldn't watch In Living, so she was so holy and so
No,
saved
it wasn't about that.
could.
My mom could
Anyway,
let me watch In Living Color.
So that's basically the long and the short of it, was that I already knew who I was dealing with. And so for me, you don't chase up behind what God has already promised you. You just got to walk in what he told you to do. I'm trying not to preach, y'all.
Yes.
You just got to walk in what he told you to do. And then all of a sudden, things just come together. And so when we came together, we were inseparable after that. there.
Thank you
Don't
for
say that I can't
for the
close.
long and the short of
Don't
it
say
all.
that I can't
That's
close.
how we met. Enterprise Rent a Car did more than
You can
just
stop saying
employ
their
us.
name now.
They brought us together.
You can stop saying their name now. I don't like to talk about that because the best thing they gave me was my wife, but everything else was a headache. So anyway.
Okay, so that's how we met. The next question or the next topic we're going to discuss is, well, I want to answer because people always ask us, well, how long did you all date before you got engaged or before you got married? So we're going to talk about that. How long or short before we got married, and of a time did we date before we got married, and then how did we know?
We'll ask you that. Never mind. Anyway.
A lot of people ask that, like, oh, so how long did you date before you got engaged?
Oh, well.
How long before, that type, that's kind of like a general question people ask.
Do you remember the answer?
We dated a year before you proposed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure you know.
Yeah, I knew. Okay, so that's the answer to that question. We dated for a full year before Kelly proposed to me. And how did you know you were ready to propose when you did?
I just told the people.
Well, yeah, I mean, God told you that I was your wife, but like we still dated. So at what point through our dating process did you say, okay, now it's time?
No, I mean, as far as like when did I know it was time? Well, I just decided that she went home, to visit, and while she was gone, I went and bought her a ring. That's how I knew.
So
I
you
knew
just
she was
waited
gonna
for
be
the
my-
opportunity.
I waited for
me
the
to be-
opportunity, and I waited for the opportunity, and I waited for the money. Because light-skinned girls like.
Shut
nice
up!
rings.
I knew.
So I waited for the opportunity, and I waited for the money, because I wanted to make sure that I got her a ring that was nice. Now, let me just say this, because some of y'all watching like, that's right, get the right ring. Look, the size of the ring don't matter.
No,
okay?
it does not.
If I had not, I just believe in my heart, had I bought her just a band, she still would have married me. But I had the means to do something different, so I did something different. So let me just be clear on that for the brothers out here that love women and they don't have the means to buy all these diamonds. That woman ought to love you regardless. But I had the means to actually go out and get her the ring that I wanted to get her, and so I did do that. And so as far as like how I knew when the time was, I just waited till the money showed up. So
if
yeah,
it had showed up 6 months into us dating, you would have proposed.
probably.
I'm just
But
asking.
6 months into us dating, I was buying her a bedroom set. So, bedroom set, ring. What's the difference? So 6 months into us dating, I was actually, furnishing her apartment. So I couldn't buy the ring and furnish the apartment. I wasn't balling like that.
I knew you was balling though.
I wasn't balling like that. But there was a little bit of balling going on. Just a little bit, though. Just a little bit. So we dated when we officially started dating. Oh, look at her cleaning me up for the YouTube family. When we officially started dating, it was like 2009. And so that next year, we got engaged. This part, I wanted to go because she's from California, and I would not give her a ring. Now, I did know that I wanted to give her a ring before that, but I would not give her a ring until I got on the plane and I went to California, and I met her family and met the people that were instrumental in raising her mother, her stepfather, her father, her aunt, her grandmother, who was alive at the time. I wanted to meet all of those people because I didn't want to send her home with a ring from a man they had never even met.
Right.
So I wanted to go out here and let these people see my face and talk to me and interview me and things like that, because I'm old-fashioned. I believe in that. I don't believe you just marry people, and just take them away from their family. People need to know who you are,
right.
And they had heard all good things about me because, my wife would tell them good things about me, and I am kind of the bomb, but they would,
Be humble.
but they needed to be able to talk to me, and I just believe in that. I got 2 sons, and I wouldn't want them just marry some female that they didn't bring to me and let me at least talk to her. You're going to make your decision. So we had to do all of that first. And so once we went to California, we came back home. And when we got back home, we sat down at the table with my mother. And I told my mother, as soon as we got back in town, I said, I'm going to marry this woman. and I just want you to know that I'm going to marry this woman. And so my mother began to really counsel us right then and there, because that's the type of woman she is, and make sure that I understood. She said, you taking a wife now, your wife comes first, because my mother knew that she's my number one girl. But she said, you taking a wife now, your wife comes first. So you take care of your wife, and then you can take care of your mother. So there's that. And so that's how it came to be. And then I sent her back home, and I Jedi mind tricked her and bought her a ring and made her cry.
He did make me cry, and he didn't give it to me. So basically, the whole time I'm thinking, he's buying a ring, because there was one conversation we had while I was in California, and he said he was out to lunch with his mom and with his sister. Had he just said his mom, I would have never thought anything. But when he said his sister Scent was there, I'm like, okay, something's up. So
she knows him.
Well, no, because I know him and I know Scent. So I'm like, something is up. So I told my mom, I'm like, Kelly buying a ring right now. She was like, how you know? And so I told her why I think I knew. And I did not know then that they were in cahoots with each other, because she called him at some point and was like, don't propose to her right away because she thinks she know everything, this, that, and the other, blah, whatever.
That's why I
So he basically waited
my mother-in-law
longer.
She put her right on blast. She was like,
he waited.
She called herself knowing something.
He waited longer to propose to me because of that. So,
but
his proposal was the bomb. Like, it was so him. It was so perfect. It basically is a testament to our relationship and like what we enjoy doing together, because it was just a quiet evening at home. Like, we had just got home from church, and I was basically getting ready for the night. Like, I had wrapped my hair up before I locked my hair. I wore a wrap all the time, so I was wrapping my hair. I was about to wash some dishes, and he called me to the living room like, I want you to read this scripture. And he had me read Proverbs 18:22, which talks about finding, a man who findeth a wife finds a good thing. And then he had me read a poem that he had written for me, but the poem was his proposal, because at the end of the poem, he asked the question. And so when I looked up at him, he had the ring, and I was all crying, and it was beautiful. So it was awesome. But to answer the same question about how I knew I was ready to marry Kelly,
I didn't know this.
It actually goes all the way back to when we were first dating. We had went to Fridays. Was it Fridays when I cried in the car?
Oh my God.
Okay, so we had went this. That's how I knew that I was ready to marry him.
And I didn't know that everybody cries at Fridays.
Whenever he asked,
I
was ready to marry him. So what happened was, when we went to Fridays, I was still in my situation. I hadn't found a clean breakaway from the situation, and I was kind of in that limbo stage.
Please don't talk about your breakaway. That's not for YouTube.
Okay, well,
See, I shouldn't have brought that up, because now y'all be like, what happened?
We will get into that. This video is getting really long, so we're going to get into that in another #Team Jackson Tuesday. Maybe next one.
Come back for the
Maybe next
episode.
one we'll continue this episode. We'll continue this. But anyway, so we were in the parking lot of Fridays. We had just eaten, and we were getting ready to go, and we had got to talking about something. I forget what the nature of the conversation was, but I started crying because at that moment I knew where I wanted to be. Like, there was no question in my mind of, I was already exiting the situation that I was in, but I was crying because I wanted to be out of it faster, because I felt like the longer I was in that situation, that I was actually cheating or messing over my current relationship that I was starting to build. And so I just felt like I was in this space that I just really was losing control over. And I knew at that moment that Kelly was I was done. Like, this was where I was going to be forever, however long it took for us to get married. I knew this was it. So I was crying because I'm just like, how do I do this? Because I knew I was hurting a good person. I was going to hurt a good person. And, that's a long story of in itself, and maybe we'll discuss that on a Me Time Monday or something. But I knew I was going to hurt him, and I did not want to do that, because it's not like he hurt me. We just weren't compatible. And so anyway, long story short, that's when I knew that I was done. That's when I knew this was my husband. Whenever he proposed, I was saying yes, and that's what it was. So there you have it.
That's
so
awesome.
The last question, that we have for tonight was there any, like, not growing pains, but was there anything that, we've been married now, it'll be 7 years in June of this year. So we celebrated our 6-year anniversary. June 11th, 2011 was our wedding day. So we celebrate, obviously, our anniversaries every June, and so we're coming up on 7. And so just knowing that, was there anything that you kind of had to become accustomed to once we realized we were going to be together forever? Was there
That's the question.
Yeah. Was there like...
Did I have to get used to you?
Yeah. Like, was there something that you... Don't do that. Was there something that, like, was there a moment where you realized that it was like, wow, I'm going to have to deal with that from now on?
Well, listen, I had already, there were things that I'd already said, like, you got to put up with that.
Whatever.
I don't think there was anything that I had to get used to when we got married. There was, I don't know, I'm trying to think about what I had to get used to.
I mean, if there's nothing, then there's just nothing, because I am kind of awesome.
There was some stuff I almost said another word. There was some stuff I'd already gotten used to. So, I mean, she nosy.
I am that.
So our son is nosy.
He is that.
And not nosy in the sense that I got something to hide, but my wife, I'm just saying, I'm not talking about me. I'm just like, my wife nosy in general. Like, stuff that I'm like, babe, like, why you worried about that? Like, don't even look out. Stop looking out the window like that. Like, that's that kind of nosy where I'm just like, sit down. Like, you ain't got, that ain't none of your business. But I don't think there's anything that I really had to adjust to or any. I mean, some of it is spiritual. If there's something that my wife and I do butt heads about, it's faith. And there's a lot of things that we have to do that is simply based on faith. And sometimes, my wife, me being, who I am, I'm more inclined to say, we're stepping out on faith, the Lord gonna work it out. And my wife is like, well, I don't see it. And if there's anything that we clash about, is me always saying to her, how many times does God have to actually come through before you start trusting him? Because I can't think of it, and she can answer this, I don't know of very many things that I've said, honey, we got to put our faith in God, and it did not work out. And so I guess that would be it. She cranky when she hungry. I'm reaching, but she would listen. She came in here the other day, man, and man, listen. Y'all be seeing this bubbly and hair video or whatever, but if she ever came on here and she ain't had a good sandwich, y'all would know something. I'm trying to tell you. So there isn't a whole lot, and I say this in all sincerity. This is how I knew that this was my wife, because there wasn't a whole lot of struggling and we got to change this and trying to fit this square peg in a round hole. We just clicked, and we're just together, and so that's how I knew, because there wasn't a whole lot of work for us to get along. It's not a lot of work. There's not a lot of, even when we clash, it's over in a minute. So there wasn't a whole lot that I had to adjust to. Now, I think she had more adjustments than me, especially coming down later in life, because when we got married, I was not a minister. And that was an adjustment for her when I accepted my call, because there are just things that ministers have to do that she had to adjust to. My wife she knew who I was when she met me. She knew I was spiritual, but she didn't know she was marrying a preacher.
I did. And I kept telling
she knew she was marrying a preacher. Well, she didn't know what it meant.
Right.
She didn't know what that was going to mean for her.
I kept telling him that he was a preacher, and he
can't tell me.
But anyway, the one thing that I would say that I had to become used to or learn how to navigate was Kelly's moods. Like, Kelly's moody, and well, 'cause you are like that. He has moments where he's just kind of inward, and it could be just processing something. And before he was a minister, he might just be processing thoughts that he has, goals that he's, putting in place for himself, or, just debriefing from a stressful day. But when he gets like that, you can't really talk to him. You kind of have to let him.
I'm a thinking man. My wife.
You kind of just have to let him go through that moment. When he became a minister, or when he accepted his call, and I'll say it that way, when he accepted his call to the ministry, then it was, the Lord working with him with just different things that he needed to do, just different, building blocks to the ministry that God gave him and how to put it together, putting sermons together. So it was the same thing, but it was just focused in a different direction when he accepted his call to the ministry. So in those moments, you kind of just have to let him be. And I didn't
couple that with the fact that she's nosy and she got to know everything.
It became one of these type of things, kind of like a tug of war, because it was like I didn't know how to decipher when it was just him processing versus him really being in a mood. And see, me, I'm the type of person that if I'm in a mood, I might not want to talk right away, but eventually I'm going to talk about it because that's how I process my moods. Him, on the other hand, he processes his moods inwardly and quietly and just kind of to himself and whatever. And so that used to like really irk me because I'm like, something got to be the matter because you're not talking.
Can I just
you know what I'm saying? You're not saying anything. So what's wrong with you? And he's not telling me anything. So I just would get irritated.
Part of the reason, again, this goes back to my wife being nosy. Now, if I had an issue with her, see, I don't want her to make y'all think that he just do it, he just holds it in, and he don't, how y'all together. No, if I got a problem with her, I'm gonna let her know.
No, he do.
But sometimes when I'm dealing with stuff, it ain't got nothing to do with her. I ain't gonna talk to her about it unless I want her feedback. So some stuff I deal with, I process on my own, and then I'm done with it because it don't really have anything to do with her. But because she's so nosy, my nosy sweetheart. Because she's so nosy, that's where's the problem. Because she just don't know how to say, all right, work that out. If you need me, I'm here for you. But she grew.
I just stopped.
Because she didn't have a choice.
Right, I just.
She didn't have a choice. Because I say, babe, this ain't your business. This ain't got nothing to do with you.
YouTube family, you all have been awesome tonight. We enjoyed this conversation. We ran a little long with this first introduction to hashtag Team Jackson. But no, this topic, I could talk all night about my husband and our relationship. So
because somebody got to edit this video.
These episodes, I told you last week on Me Time Monday that we're going to try to make these videos between 10 and 15 minutes. We are way past that on tonight. Going forward, we will try to be a little bit more concise, but I was introducing you to the best thing that has ever happened to me since, before my son, because I have my 5-year-old, which you will meet on Friday. In a couple of weeks when we are doing the Friday segment, you will meet our handsome little man.
That's going to be fun.
So make sure you come back in about 3 weeks when we do
to say,
family. That's going to be Family Fun Fridays. We're going to do that. So that's in a couple of weeks. Next week will be Wednesday. I will introduce you to Walk in Faith Wednesdays. And that's going to be next week's segment. I think I am going to invite my husband back to that segment because he is one of the spiritual pillars in my life.
30 minutes right
there. So we may invite Reverend Jackson back to Walk in Faith Wednesday.
I'll put on a different t-shirt that day. So I'll come in here and give y'all a word. It won't be about Prince. It'll be about the Lord.
Yes,
It'll be about the Prince of Peace.
Anyway, spirituality is a huge part of my life, and as you know, Always Naturally Me is about always being naturally me. So I am going to introduce you all to all facets of my life. And so tonight you were meeting my husband, and so this is going to be a reoccurring segment. We are going to always have hashtag Team Jackson Tuesdays. Next week we will continue a little bit more about our introduction, but we are going to also answer any questions or comments or tackle any topics that you all may have about dating, marriage, relationships in general, just whatever topics you want us to tackle or any questions that you may have of us. Leave them in the comment section, and we will definitely make sure we touch on those on our next hashtag Team Jackson Tuesday, which will be next month. So for now, like always, do good to others and good will come back to you.
And please go to my channel.
And please go to my husband's channel. Well, no, because I was going to introduce that in a different way.
Oh.
Well, not tonight. I was going to do it on Walking Faith
Oh.
Wednesdays, but honey, because your channel is spiritual. So I felt like that meant
Search Reverend Kelly R. Jackson.
his channel is
so that
very...
you can know before. See, you could give a primer.
But
and
you can
get-
also put it up in the graphics. Well, you can put it up in the graphics.
Well, I
too
put
on
up in the graphics. if you
Okay,
ain't
so
talking
please,
about it.
please go to my husband's
Yeah.
channel and just kind of get, make yourself accustomed to what, because that is kind of what we're going to use
See, this
on.
me. I got to stay behind the
Oh
scenes.
my
That- You
gosh,
don't
shut
want me
up.
in the forefront. Behind the scenes. This is my channel. So.
Please visit my husband's channel, which is... Give your channel.
I just told him. You search Reverend Kelly R. Jackson.
Oh, search Reverend Kelly
You
R.
see me in
Jackson.
the studio to Your Life and Purpose radio broadcast. We're doing a new series right now, A Moment with the Author, where I'm discussing each of the 10 books that I wrote. By the time that you see this video, I'm only 2 videos in. I dealt with the first 2 books that I wrote. So just go over to my channel. It's not about hair, but I still think it's entertaining.
Anyway, we love you guys, and we will see you all on next week. Again, Wednesday will be Walking Faith Wednesday, and Reverend Jackson will be back with us on next Wednesday or on next week. So I will talk to you then. See you later.